Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fans cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Meaty Boyz brawling, no holds barred loud. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman? You know what I mean?
Tune in the vibe.
Guard lay on the mic tonight. News coming in left and right. Go better with the latest fight. Gene's got that insight tight. Champions rise and they fall. Wire to wire, got it all. Every move in every brawl. Tune in for the curtain call. Wrestling talk all night long. Catch the latest match and song. Ring the bell, let's get it on. Every story bright and strong. In the ring they clash and roar. New rivalries and so much more. Titles change and legends lore.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Guard-E3, and welcome to the Meaty Boyz podcast. And of course, joining me just like every week, he is Mo Betta. How you doing, Mo?
I'm doing great, Brett. Getting excited. We're just coming off the Rumble, so we got to talk some wrestling.
Absolutely, Mo. By the way, they just announced it officially at Elimination Chamber. We are getting CM Punk versus Finn Balor for the world title, so that should be a fun one.
That's going to be a great match. Their last match they had recently overseas was a banger. I don't think for one moment this one will disappoint. Look, Finn Balor, people forget about how good a wrestler, a great performer he was before he was ever a part of the Judgment Day. I think he's reminding us of just how talented he is.
No, absolutely. We got Punk and Balor. It looks like that we're gonna get AJ versus Becky Lynch at Elimination Chamber 2.
Ooh.
I think AJ challenged Becky tonight. I believe they just have to make it official. So that would make for a great chamber card. Not gonna lie, we got men and women's chamber, AJ and Punk in action. Not sure what. I don't know if they put anything else on the chamber card at that point, but that's a chamber worth buying for me.
Oh, I'm here for it. I'm a huge AJ Lee fan, so every time she performs, I'm there.
No, absolutely. The unfortunate news that we received today, of course, though, Mo, Braun Breaker is out for the foreseeable future. Suffered a hernia flipping the announce table over last week.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know if that means he's missing WrestleMania. He's coming back for it, coming back after. But all we know is for the foreseeable future, we will have no Braun Breaker. So I'm curious, Mo, without Braun Breaker, what does the Vision do now?
It's interesting, right? Because a faction always has the guy. Always have to have that lead guy, the head guy. Rollins had an injury, so they kind of took him out, and Breaker stepped into that role. Bronson Reed is not the head of a snake. a theory is not a head of a snake. I think potentially Paul could be. He's charismatic. He's definitely gets a reaction from the crowd. And just as a performer, look, Paul has all the talent in the world. Like everything screams he's going to be wearing a belt at some point. Like he's that talented. So I feel like they can either go that route and put Paul up front, or you know how it goes. The wise man always has something in his pocket. Maybe they add another member to the vision.
No, that's fair. I am curious to see what happens, because I was definitely looking forward to seeing what the plans were for Braun Breaker for WrestleMania, but now will he even make it to WrestleMania?
Right.
All that matters is let's just hope that Braun Breaker has a quick and speedy and healthy recovery.
Agreed. Yeah, look, Breaker, come back when you're 100%, man. You'll be well missed.
Yeah, and speaking of big news coming from this past weekend too, Big E announced he's officially retired. So it doesn't seem like we're getting any more Big E in-ring action officially. So obviously we know how wrestling is. Maybe 10 years down the line his neck heals up enough and he wants to do a quick final run. But as of right now, yeah, it seems like that's it. And what a career it was for Big E.
Look, the kind of injury he suffered, I think a lot of us hoped for the best, but we were prepared for him at some point to make it official, and now it's official. He had a great career, and he touched all the boxes at his peak before the injury. And nobody will forget what he did as a singles performer. We're not going to forget what he did as a member of the New Day. Like when the New Day was in the top of wrestling, they was at the top of wrestling. So I think nobody's going to forget Biggie. Terrific performer, great personality. And the cool thing is, even though he can't be an in-ring performer, he's still connected to the sport by what he does at pay-per-view events. So I appreciate Biggie.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. I always loved him. He just filled his role perfectly in the New Day. And even when he broke out as a single star, that was terrific. It felt like his singles run should have went longer, definitely as champion.
Great.
I would have loved to see a longer title reign for him. So if anything, he's almost almost feels like a what if. Like if he just stayed healthy, man, we could have seen another title run and tag team run. But at the end of the day, all that matters is he's healthy now, healthy enough to live a normal life. So
right, that's the big picture.
I wouldn't risk it either. So completely understand and respect his decision. Can't wait to see him get inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Same. I'm with you. He's deserving of it. Let me ask you a question, partner. When you think of what Stephanie Vaquer has been as a women's champion, and maybe it's just me, I feel like her run as women's champion, it's been underwhelming because they haven't really put her in. She's been in some matches, but she hasn't been in any big matches. Would you agree? It's been quiet. She won the belt, and then they've who's the biggest star that she faced in a championship match since she's won the belt? They haven't put her up against Io or Rhea. I'm looking for her to go up against some of the top names in the women's division. By the way, a loaded women's division, and they've put her up against good competition, but nobody that I thought was going to ever really threaten her. I feel like they need to, if she's going to have a legitimate reign, they've got to put her up against some of the top contenders.
And that's why I was so happy, like when, Liv won. And I'm guessing we're going to get Liv and Stephanie. It's weird in the sense that they just don't seem to know how to book their champions. They can book like one or two champions and do it well, but then everything else just kind of falls up behind them because I would love to see Stephanie just going out, wrestling, and putting on bangers. Not gonna be like every week, maybe just like every other week, but like she's just so good in the ring. It feels like we should see her there more. But we've kind of almost seen this neglect when it comes to the women's titles. I don't even think I need to mention about the other pair of women's, world titles. We're finally getting Jade's first defense in 100 days. So like next week on SmackDown. It just feels like that. This is a company that doesn't know how to book more than 2 titles at a time, and it's really unfortunate considering all the talent they have on the roster.
And that's weird. Jade Cargill's her run as champion is 10 times more disappointing than Stephanie Vacure's because she outright hasn't been competing. She has not been competing. The last time we saw her compete finally was last Friday in a tag team matchup with the woman who she's going to defend the title against. They, like you said, they can give you the build-up, the sizzle, but once somebody wins the belt, you're supposed to get a huge push, be set up in all these interesting competitive matches. And they look, Cargill's a hard person to push, but I think that's more about what she can do in the ring. Stephanie Vaquer is a lot more accomplished and a lot more polished than she is in the ring. Like, you can put her in the ring pretty much against anybody, and I think it'll be an entertaining match. That's not the case with Jade Cargill because she's got such a limited skill set.
It's one of those things too. It feels like that's how you should book somebody like Stephanie. Like, she's just so good in the ring that it's almost like you just build the title reign around that. Whereas Jade, it makes more sense to go the attraction route. Don't have her, defending the title every week, but them just kind of, forgetting Stephanie exists or like her in-ring ability exists it's disappointing. I hope she gets a match at the Chamber too.
I mean, I am excited though. I know Liv hasn't made a decision, but come on, between me and you, I have to assume because Liv is so calculating that she's gonna go. I think I'd rather take on Stephanie. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Liv Morgan fan. It would blow my mind if she said, "You know what? I think the easier pick is Cargill." That would blow my mind. I can't see her saying that though.
No, that's fair. I say, speaking of we got WrestleMania around the corner, Mo. My question is, do you think that how hard do you think WWE is going to push for a potential match for Bad Bunny? Obviously, we always have a celebrity match every year. Bad Bunny's actually really good and really fun to watch in the ring. Coming off the Super Bowl, man, I don't know, Mo. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like we're getting a Bad Bunny match this year. Like, I feel like they're gonna just throw the bank at him to get him in the ring.
He's got a lot of momentum, like you said, coming off the Super Bowl, and he's already performed in the ring before and shown you he's a lot better athlete maybe than what they anticipated. So I think you're right. It's just a matter of who the opponent will be. Maybe they put Bad Bunny up against Dom.
Yeah, that would be a good one. I'd love to see Dom versus Bad Bunny, but yeah, I was kind of thinking that as I was kind of vibing to Bad Bunny. I'm like, man, after this, WWE is going to be dying to get him back into the ring again.
Oh yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing how they sort out the Elimination Chamber matches to see who's all competing in those. Hey, one of my favorite matches of all time actually happened at the Chamber. Shout out to the original Shield versus Wyatt family battle. Their first matchup was in the Chamber, and I absolutely loved it.
Those were bangers. So intense, so physical. I could actually go back and watch that match all over again. That's how good it was.
Absolutely. What do you think about Natalia's new character? She dropped Natalia. Now she's Natty, the low-key legend. Like, I love the switch up for her, honestly.
I mean, look, you're a veteran. She's been around for over 20 plus years. I think it's cool that she's kind of opted the role of being more of a heel and working behind the scenes and interfering and doing things like that. I like it. I think it's a fresh persona for her. It's funny that she went this route because I thought that eventually she would become a manager in the women's division, right? But she'd be one of those hands-on managers that would interfere in matches because she's still in great shape. She can still perform. But I think that there are some really talented women in the women's division who aren't necessarily very good on the mic. And so you need a figurehead who can kind of do the mic thing for you. And I think Natalya will be great at that too. So I just like the fact that 20 plus years in, she's coming up with fresh new ways to reinvent herself.
Absolutely. And she almost, like, with her way her character is now, I love it. Like, I feel like she's almost positioned herself to be that perfect, like, gatekeeper to the main event. Like, give her the IC title, and when somebody's ready to move up to the main event, have them prove themselves by, getting in the ring with Natalia, because she can still go. She's putting on a really good match right now with Maxine. So I almost feel like that she's in a great position, and this version of Natalia, yeah, you know what? Let's just give her the IC or, women's US title.
I'm here for it.
Say, yeah, now these two ladies are going at it. Say, credit to them.
Maxine's an interesting one because where she started and where she is now, like she's head and shoulders so much more improved. But I still think there's even more room for more improvement from her. She's young, and if you really look at her, she's kind of physically imposing. Like, you don't really realize that if you look at her physique, she's tall and really, really muscular and powerful. Like, I think she's got a bright future.
No, absolutely. You know who I'm really curious to see? I'm really curious to see what happens at WrestleMania. I'm really curious to see what they're going to do with Oba Femi.
Oh, that's a good one.
I feel like I feel like he's going to need a, give him a decisive win. But I'm curious to see who that happens against.
It's funny because I thought, okay, Oba's going to be part of WrestleMania somehow, some way. But you can tell, you led the show with this. They brought him up to the main roster, but they don't know what the hell to do with him. So they're having him come down and, I don't want to say randoms, but he's beating up guys that are more like mid-card guys basically every week. At some point, he's going to have a confrontation with a higher level of competition and set up that match for WrestleMania. I know some people thought Femi versus Brock Lesnar, but I'm with you. I don't need to see Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I don't need that. There's enough talent on the roster that you don't need Brock Lesnar. You can find a great match for Oba Femi. What if Oba Femi and Jacob Fatu went head to head? That's a great match.
You know what I kind of want to do at WrestleMania? The worst part is I don't want either of these guys to lose at WrestleMania, but I feel like it'd be a fun match. Say Carmelo Hayes versus Oba Femi for the U.S. title would be such a great undercard match.
I think that is a great match. You have the power of Femi versus Melo's quickness and athleticism, and even though Oba Femi is kind of like this big phenom, Melo's actually a little bit more of a vet than he is, so I think Melo might have a little bit of strategic advantage. I think it would make for a great match. I think a lot of people think he would just walk in there and just pretty much mow through Melo. I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think their styles make for a great match.
No, absolutely. I know one guy. There's so much young talent that are looking forward to for WrestleMania. Another guy I think you got to get on that card is Trick Williams.
Yes.
Say 70,000 people going whoop that Trick would absolutely do wonders for his career.
And look, Trick's already talking trash to Drew McIntyre, so he's doing what a young wrestler should do: rattle the cages of the vets to try to get the vet to take a step down and give him a shot. I don't think Trick's going to get a title shot that quick, but I do think they've got to find a matchup for him for WrestleMania. Like, we can talk all we want about the really big matches, the main events, but to make it a great WrestleMania all the way around, you can have great matchups that lead to the main events. And I think Trick Williams should be in one of those matches.
I think Trick Williams, I feel like he's going to end up at WrestleMania, but I feel like it feels like he's going to lose at WrestleMania. It's one of those things where when they run these, young guy gets a little too arrogant and confident, starts talking smack like he's doing to Drew McIntyre.
Right.
I feel like they're just setting him up to take the fall to some main eventer at WrestleMania, but I feel like that wouldn't be a bad spot for him at the end of the day, when I feel like losing isn't always bad. And if you give him his big entrance and he goes out and has a competitive, really good match with, like, let's say, Drew McIntyre or, Jacob Fatu or however they want to slice it, I think that could be a good spot for him, win or loss. Put him against either a main eventer or a higher upper card player and let him go to work.
No, I like that idea because I'm with you, partner. I think a lot of people think you either win or you lose, but when you're coming up from NXT to the main roster, I don't think he has to win his first big match, but I do think he has to obviously put on a good performance. But like you said, if he should match up against someone like a Drew McIntyre or match up against Solo Sikoa or Jacob Fatu or anybody of that ilk, I think he can come away with a push, even if he loses, if he puts on a banger of a match.
I'd say we've seen plenty of guys bounce back from losing their first ever WrestleMania match. How about the CEO of it might not have been his first one, but the CEO of the company had a really, let's say, brutal match against the Ultimate Warrior at WrestleMania. And he ended up recovering from that just fine.
Facts.
That's such a hard match to look back at. It's just so weird seeing, like, when they're trying to go for more realistic, like, gimmicks, and then you just have the Ultimate Warrior coming in. You're just like, you don't belong in this era. You just look out of place.
Yeah, well, we talk a lot about skill sets and talents. Like, everything about the Ultimate Warrior screams late 80s, early 90s. But if you really look at what he did, we talk about guys who really aren't wrestlers. They're more of just athletes. Warrior was an athlete. He had no wrestling moves at all. He came running into the ring. He's going to clothesline you a whole bunch of times. He's going to press slam you, and then he's going to splash you. And that's pretty much his whole repertoire. So, yeah, the fact that the current CEO lost to that guy, I know he looks back on it and go, man, that's crazy. But you know what? Wrestling was different back then. Back then, if you looked like $1 million and you had muscles coming out of your ears or whatever, for whatever reason, those guys get the big push.
And if you were, if you were a big foreboding foreigner, you're absolutely the next top heel.
100%, yeah. Especially if you have the accent, yeah, 100%.
Nothing will ever top my favorite, Vladimir Kozlov beating The Undertaker on the road to WrestleMania. Mind you, everybody was so stunned because Taker never lost on the road to WrestleMania.
Fact.
So when Kozlov beat him just clean in the middle of the ring, I remember him going like, what? Hold on. Did that just accidentally happen, or what are we doing here?
It's funny because I was actually talking to somebody a couple of days ago about wrestling, and he said, give me my wrestling Mount Rushmore. He gave his real quick, but one of his was Undertaker, and I thought it was interesting. Not because I don't think he's an all-time great, because I do, but he said a lot of guys have won titles more times than Taker. But he said Taker was that guy that even when he didn't have the title, he seemed like he was always the guy, right? Like, and I thought about that, and I agreed with him. I've always felt that even when the Undertaker wasn't the heavyweight champion, he still was the guy. Even the champion was always aware of Undertaker's presence. Like, he was the most intimidating force in the WWE for well over 25 years. I think Taker should be on the Mount Rushmore for that reason alone.
In terms of like NBA player comps, I feel like Taker's case for like a Mount Rushmore all-time great is just very like Tim Duncan coded. Like, dude just came in for a long time, was consistently great, and won multiple championships on the way. Like, it just feels like that's kind of Taker's Mount Rushmore case. It's like, look, guy did it for 30 years, and he won 7 titles, elevated countless talents. So
I like that. I like the way you did that. And don't forget, Brett, like you just said, he did it for so long at such a high level that he's the one superstar, Brett, that he could be in the main event at a pay-per-view without a belt being on the line, and the match was a banger because he was in the match.
No, absolutely. I know a lot of my favorite Taker matches weren't the main events of the show. Obviously, you had the matches with Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25. Say 26 main evented, but like WrestleMania 23 with him and Batista was fantastic. It's crazy to think about. The dude had like a 7-year run where he just had the match of the night at WrestleMania. And you could argue 8 out of 9 years because he also had a really good match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania 21.
Facts. And they had to hold him back early in his career. I'm talking about early in his career where he was, you forget that you remember him for his power and he was agile for his size, but he was actually very athletic for his size early in his career. Like, Taker was a bad man. And a lot of the bigger stars early in his career, they wanted no part of him.
Early career Taker, I kind of felt bad for though, because they're like, all right, you're an undead mortician. Yeah, we're going to give you a new giant to conquer every week. And sometimes it's like, oh, cool, Taker and Yokozuna. I'll watch that. But too often it's like, yeah, here's the giant Gonzalez. I'm like, why? It's like, yeah, Taker, handicap match with Big Show and A-Train. Like, why are we doing this at WrestleMania? Granted, that was supposed to be a tag team match with Nathan Jones, but they didn't realize how unready he would be by WrestleMania. But
thanks.
Yeah, I just kind of felt bad at times for like Taker, even young Taker, and even going into like ABA Taker, because it's like, well, here are all of our big guys. We want you to wrestle them all, and half of them can't wrestle. So good luck.
that you are asking him to carry a lot when you put him in there with some big stiffs. That's fair.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see. I'm curious if they do you think they introduce AJ Styles into the Hall of Fame this year, or do you think they wait a little bit?
He certainly can go in right away, but I feel like because AJ's such a big name, not just with the WWE, but just throughout wrestling, that I think you need to give it like a year and then make him part of the next class. He might even be one of the tops of that next class. People underestimate how great a career AJ Styles had. And even his last match versus Gunther, it was a terrific match. I think he went out the way he wanted to go out. And that's why I always tell people, Cena went out the way he wanted to go. If Cena didn't want to lose, if he didn't want to tap out in his final match, he wouldn't have had to. Like, Cena has that much say. I think that's how Cena wanted to go out. Same for Styles. And because they're always trying to give back to wrestling. And by both of them choosing to go out the way they did, it elevates Gunther, right? Because now Gunther's the legend killer, right? He's taking out Goldberg, he's taking out John Cena, and now AJ Styles. And I was joking because I was like, there's no shortage of like really good wrestlers who are near the end of their careers. Like, I think Gunther can take out a few more people next year, or how much longer is Randy Orton going to wrestle? Because he's kind of getting up there. Even though he's one of my favorite performers, he's kind of getting up there himself.
It's funny. I did say that a good opponent for Gunther this WrestleMania would be Randy Orton. Get career killer versus legend killer going.
I like that. That would be a great feud. I like that.
Yeah, I think we know the next guy. I think we kind of have an idea who the next guy who retires is. The rumors have been swirling that Brock Lesnar is going to retire at SummerSlam. I kind of wish he would retire sooner, but I guess hopefully we can at least get rid of him at SummerSlam and
Gunther versus Lesnar. I'll
yeah,
take that. If Gunther is going to take him out and he's done, I'll take that because again, yes, they'll say it's Brock Lesnar's last match, but it will elevate Gunther going forward. And at some point, Gunther's going to be wearing one of those heavyweight championship belts again.
No, absolutely. The WrestleMania card would be it's going to be so interesting because I just don't know how they're going to fill it out. Obviously, we got some matches that we know for sure now with like Punk Roman, but Yeah, it'll be because they could go a lot of different directions. Like the Vision will need an opponent. Which, by the way, Braun Breaker's out. It is time to elevate my guy, Big Bronson Reed. He beat Roman Reigns, and his reward was going back to being second fiddle. Like, come on, push my guy already. Love.
So you think Brunson should be the front man? I mean, I guess he could be. I just felt like I was thinking about not just in terms of talent, but there's different types of charisma. Like Braun Breaker isn't necessarily a great talker, but he's very convincing when he's on the mic because he's very intense. Austin Theory hasn't accomplished enough to be the front man. And that's why I said, unless they go outside of the Vision, I feel like Reed is kind of like, for better or worse, they've kind of put him in that enforcer role, which means I think they're going to put Logan Paul out front. They're either going to put Logan Paul out front or they're going to introduce a new guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's just frustrating to me that they made a big deal about, hey, Bronson Reed beat Roman Reigns in a match. And then they don't really seem to have done really anything after that. Like, you would think that would have followed up with not even a world title win, but like, all right, let's throw the U.S. title on them or the even tag titles. Like,
that's where I'm disappointed at. I thought at a minimum Bronson Reed and Breaker, or even Bronson Reed and Logan Paul, or whatever combination, they would at least be wearing the tag team championships.
Yeah, like that. I think when Braun Breaker's, healthy, obviously I think the guy in charge of the Vision should just be Braun Breaker. And that, while he's out, probably just put Paul Heyman front and center for now until they figure out what to do next. But I'm hoping, like, I would love at WrestleMania, like, it doesn't need to be a world title, but, who would say no to IC champion Bronson Reed? Like, I think that would be really cool.
I like that. I'm here for it. They have so much talent on that. By the way, are we gonna get Charlotte versus Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania? Is that a match, or is that a match we're gonna resolve in the next pay-per-view?
I feel like that they're gonna wait on it. It's something that I feel like it's a WrestleMania worthy match.
Right. So are they gonna try to pretend like they're still friends and then have a final breakup before WrestleMania?
I say I'm guessing either before, maybe even after. Maybe that's the. I feel like it'll be after or at WrestleMania.
Okay.
Say because they're still good. Like neither of them are going to be competing for a world title spot or even a mid card championship. So why not put them in the tag title match at WrestleMania? Maybe be a multi-women match.
I like that.
Like I feel like the two locks for the women's tag title match are Rhea Io and the Bellas. I feel like that's your match right there. But why not just expand on it? Like, obviously the Bellas, like, especially Breed's going to be a little rusty in the ring. She hasn't stepped in, outside of coming back for the Royal Rumble. So I think maybe adding a third team like Charlotte and Alexa works, because then you have more like active wrestlers to kind of do most of the work while Bree starts knocking off some of the rust.
That's a good idea. Or you could go with the other tag team, the power team with Lash Legend and crew, right? Look, Lash Legend, she looked like she's ready to pop like right now. She is, I've said this before, she's what they want to a degree with Jade to be powerful, but to be able to pull off wrestling moves, and something more than just being a power wrestler. She's more polished than Jade is. Like Lash Legend, she was really incredibly impressive in the Royal Rumble. She was insanely impressive.
Absolutely. I love what they did with the younger talent at the Royal Rumble in the women's match. Like Lash not throwing out 5 people, she looked dominant. Sol Ruka looked great. Like it just, although the women's match was so good. I loved the women's match, and I thought a lot of that was because of how well they booked the younger talent.
They let them all shine, Brett. That was a great thing. They let all the young up-and-comers, they let them all have their moments and let them shine, and they all delivered on their opportunities. The women's division is just so loaded, and I want so many matches. Like, I get it why we have Rhea and Io as tag team champions, because really they're usually they're usually in the top 5 fighting over one of the heavyweight belts. But because they're the tag champs right now, they're kind of out of the way, which gives an opportunity for Liv to step back in. I'm a huge Liv Morgan fan, and I'm a fan of Stephanie Vaquer as well. But if they should meet, I would be stunned if Liv didn't walk out the women's champ. Not because Liv, right? She's down for winning by any means necessary. It is the price you pay, Stephanie Vaquer, when you're a face.
No, absolutely. It was like night and day how they booked it's weird, right? Like with the men's rumble, I thought they booked the young talent really well. I think I just hated the way like Oba got tossed out. That really soured that one for me.
Yeah, me too.
Like I thought like throwing out 5 people, I thought they booked Oba strong at first, but I feel like the real star-making moment was let him toss Lesnar over the top. And just to have him just get dumped like a sack of potatoes because Lesnar snuck up on him.
Right.
I did not like that.
I'm with you. They could have done that better. I'm with you. I agree. Look, I was entertained by the men's match, but I'm with you. I think the women, they did it better.
I was entertained for the first half of the men's match. I liked it, but it just felt like when they started just slowing, they like completely broke up the whole flow of the match to do the Lesnar stuff, which to me it's like, okay, why every year he's in the Rumble, I got to watch 10 people lay on the ground watching Lesnar just taunt over and over again and hit an occasional suplex. That's not really my cup of tea. But then, like, you're like, okay, Lesnar tossed out Oba. We're going to make a big deal about his elimination. No, he just gets tossed out in the middle of a Jey Uso entrance. Like,
yeah, right.
Like, it just felt like the pacing in the first half was good. And then as soon as Lesnar entered, the pacing just became non-existent. And it just almost felt like it didn't really recover that well from that.
Well, like you said, it had a rhythm to it. He comes into the ring, and then there's this 7 to 10-minute window where there's like 11 competitors laying down watching him. That was weird.
Yeah, I do hope that next year though they bust out maybe a couple more surprises. I love seeing Brie back.
Yes,
but I would definitely love to see a couple more surprises and surprises that people will know, right? Like, I am sorry, I felt so bad for La Parka. Great talent, but I don't know how they expected, like, the Saudi audience to know who La Parka is. Like, they clearly just had no idea who he was.
Right.
So I feel like they gotta work on it. They gotta know like the audience a little bit. At the end of the day, like if you're gonna have like an international royal, like a Rumble in Saudi, maybe not so much AAA talent. Which, like I said, AAA, great, not knocking them. Just they were just so dead for all those guys, and it was so unfortunate.
You can tell the Saudi audience was literally going, "Give me back my pamphlet. I got to see who this guy is." Like they had no clue. There was no reaction, no heat, no nothing. Like, look, you're in Saudi, bro. Read the room. You got to come with nothing but bangers. That is not a time to experiment with. I don't even know if La Parka's even mid card. He's probably slightly below mid card.
It's one of those, and the weird part too is they made a big deal about signing the one guy, the first ever like Saudi Arabian wrestler. So I was like, all right, that's one Rumble spot, and then he just wasn't in the Rumble. I guess he's not ready, but I thought he was getting a Rumble spot for sure with how big of a deal they made about it.
Yeah, well, for him not to participate, I guess he wasn't ready for prime time.
Absolutely, but well, that's all I had for us today. Anything you want to add before we get up on out of here?
No, I'm just really, really excited. Hopefully that my excitement doesn't get disappointed by the WWE's powers that be that do the storylines, book the matches. I can't say it enough. You are loaded with so much young talent. It would be a crime if you don't highlight them at WrestleMania.
No, I completely agree with that. And hey, look, make sure to check us out Thursday. We got the And One podcast. We're going to be having some fun with our underrated player of the week. We had a pretty crazy trade deadline. So we can talk about some trade deadline stuff. That'll be a lot of fun. So thank you guys for tuning in. I definitely appreciate everybody. And I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your night.